Welcome to another exciting Breezin with Bierman. I've Lauren Lepre. He's my new bromance. This work ethic, he's bringing the show to new heights with amazing guests. We're going to be talking to Brylan. Did I say it right? So don't hit me.
You got it.
MMA fighter Van Artsdalen, who's coming up though for future months, tentatively.
We've got the legendary Chuck Treese coming next month, who's a professional skateboarder, all types of bands, from the band Urge Overkill, and played with Bad Brains, and his current band is McRad.
Mm-hmm. And he played with Pearl Jam. He filled
in for a couple of weeks, I believe, with them.
Right. Yeah, and the movie Pulp Fiction, he has that.
Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. That's from Urge Overkill. Yep. So.
You know, it's great. I'm going to have people give you massages. People in my crew give you anything. You know.
Wait. This is supposed to be about me.
No. Oh, and I got.
No, I'm just kidding.
Also, speaking about Ryan, Raya's not here. She's overseas, an overseas assignment. Speaking about massages, but Raya, for those who don't know, is our fashion coordinator. We have Brylan Van Artsdalen.
Got it. Killed it.
I practiced.
My man.
Thank you.
You're safe.
He's a 32-year-old MMA fighter, currently competing in the fierce featherweight division. He's been fighting professionally since 2010. And let me tell you, before you take over this interview, I have no life experience with the stuff he does. We'll see in the background. The guy's a gladiator. Okay, Lauren, take charge.
So, my friend, how you been?
What's going on, man? How you
Glad to welcome you to the show. You're the type of guest that we need here on the Breezin with Bierman show.
I appreciate it.
Yes. So let's get into it. What made you want to do this? What made you want to be an MMA fighter?
What made me want to be an MMA fighter?
Not a dysfunctional family home.
No, not a dysfunctional family home, but I had a penchant, right? Is that the word I'm looking for getting into fights all the time. All right. Before I started training, the last thing that happened was I got into a street fight, and I was a bit of an idiot, and the guy hit me with a bat.
Whoa!
As you see the scar on my head. All right.
Yeah.
End up kicking the guy's ass, who was a lot bigger than me, a lot bigger than you. And at that point, all my friends and my coworkers and everybody I know said, "You need to start getting paid to do this.
Channel this into something more productive,
Exactly,
and financially lucrative."
Yeah.
You know,
So
it's very interesting, those scars there. On first dates, are they a conversation? Oh, we won't get into- Anyway.
chicks dig scars, man.
Oh,
You know what I
really?
mean? Like cauliflower ear, you know.
Oh.
That's how I met my girlfriend. She really dug that I was a fighter. I hope she doesn't watch this because she's gonna kill me for that. But
Well, it is like the male, it is like the alpha male kind of thing, definitely.
Yeah, it's the current 300 is the closest we're going to get, right?
Exactly.
In modern days. So the school you joined then was Datus Back Camp, I believe, or did you?
Datus Mixed Martial Arts, correct. At the time, it was New Jersey,
Philly MMA, I think.
Philly MMA, yeah.
And then you ran into some idiots like this.
Yeah. So that was funny when I joined. Is that I walked right into the door into Brad Datus's gym, and they were having fight training at the time.
Uh-huh.
All right, it was the team fight training in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I walk in. I said, "Listen," I said, "I'm fighting all the time. I need to channel my anger somewhere else. I need to get into a cage and fight." And these guys look at me. They're like, "You're not gonna fight." You know, most of the time, because I was an instructor as well. Most of the time, you get these guys. You know, what I mean, we don't want to push them away from it, but you know, every time somebody says they want to be a fighter right away, you just look at them. You're like,
Are you really thinking about this out? What it entails?
you're like, yeah, you don't want to, you want to be real nice to them, but you want to also
You got to kind of
let
wait.
them know, like, relax, and that's what they kind of tried to do to me right away that night. And I'm like, listen, I'm gonna fight. I said, I need to fight. I need to make money doing this, all right, because I'm going to end up in jail somewhere if I don't do this. About a year later, I was fighting amateur.
Wow.
So, I guess I was one of those rare occasions.
Yeah, well, that's good. And then, over the course of time, for the current viewers, you fought in, give some of the name of the companies here.
I fought in Bellator, which is the second biggest name promotion in MMA in the world right now. I fought for Matrix Fights Promotion, which was a local MMA promotion in Philadelphia. Cage Fury, which is one of the biggest in our region right now, who push a lot of our local fighters into the UFC and Bellator and bigger name promotions as well. All right, and a lot of smaller, like Locked in a Cage and a couple other.
Yeah, the more
New
the
Jersey
indie,
and
the indie
Pennsylvania
ones
area.
to get your name out there
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
So when you're in Bellator, right, and you've had obviously they have a contract with Spike TV. You were on cable television, right?
And Telemundo.
Telemundo too. Wow.
Yeah. So my first professional fight, I went 6-0 as an amateur. I couldn't get a fight. My first professional fight.
No one wanted to risk it up.
It was tough. It was tough to get the fight because you get this kid who's 6-0 coming in. You watch video of me. I'm an angry individual in the cage, and it was getting tough to get the first fight.
An adrenaline junkie.
Exactly, I am. So I got the call from Bellator. All right, Sam Kaplan, who was the matchmaker for Bellator. He's also a very good friend of mine as well. Followed me throughout my career when he was first starting as well. And he talked to Bierman, who was the owner of Bellator at that time. And
Out of Connecticut. That's in Connecticut they fight.
It was in Connecticut, the first fight, yeah. My first fight was in Connecticut. And he said, you got to get this kid on the big stage.
Would people be
here.
afraid to fight you, though? Because you're up, you're a wild card. And why would someone who's already established want to risk?
You kind of can't turn the fight down
Oh,
either.
really? Oh, I
You know
got
what I
you.
mean? You never. You can, but
I ended up losing the fight, but the kid was 2-1. He was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I was a white belt at the time, and he was also what they call a Muay Thai crew, meaning he was the highest level on Muay Thai. And for 2 rounds, I went out there and beat the crap out of him. I ended up losing by submission because I burned out, but I buried the kid and put him in the hospital.
I did see that. Yeah, that must have been a hard one to lose. I mean, even though you did so well, but then all of a sudden that one submission, you tap out.
You live by a sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah, it's very high and a lot of lows. I can see that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yes. So after that, what is it? What was your the very first fight? That particular fight? No, because you were 6-0. Your very first professional fight. How do you feel when that door that slams?
I was in the kid's backyard in Connecticut. He was from Connecticut, and I was excited. I was getting booed. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Being from Philadelphia, I'm from Palmyra, New Jersey, but I live in South Philly, and I was always a big Philadelphia fan, big Eagles fan. So I know how it is to give to them, and having that soak in was a wonderful thing as well.
So you were excited. You just wanted to go for it.
I
You were
just
not
wanted to
afraid
go.
of losing. You weren't afraid of pain. You were going to go.
I went right at the kid.
Right.
Like I just there was no touching of the gloves. There was no let's sit here and try to size each other up a little bit. I just went right at the kid. I think it started off with a flying elbow. Like a Superman punch. I did a Superman elbow, cut his head open. It was great.
I was like, this is going to be a good home and everything. So what about the I can't say the word.
Trajectory.
You can't say it. I can't.
Trajectory.
Say it,
Yeah, so after that, okay, you lost it, but you look good. You were winning the fight. So obviously you're in the ball game. You can grapple with these guys. So what's next? How do you train?
I was upset, but I was apologizing to everybody back, and everybody's like,
You
"What
felt
are you talking about?"
right.
Like, what are you talking about? That was great.
But so what do you do next? Train with even better people? Go to a new training school, or what was it?
No, I stayed at the same place, and we started working on my submissions, more my chokes, because
Break it down.
I was more of a wrestler. I started off as a wrestler, and then I became more of a brawler in there, and I needed to learn something different. Okay, so I started learning how to do different kind of chokes. Like my favorite choke is called the anaconda choke.
Yep.
All right, and we called it the Vanaconda. All right, most of my wins were it would say guillotine on some of the wins, but it was an anaconda choke.
Nothing in my life experience could prepare me for that. So you actually would go and get tighter and tighher and tighter.
Yeah, it's across the neck. Okay, you come under the arm. It's like kind of like a forward half Nelson, and you come across the back. All right, you can pull them in tight, push your chest down into them, okay, and choke them standing up, okay, or on the ground. What we call the anaconda, we hook on the bottom of their leg, okay, and you just close in like an anaconda.
Have you been in that before? Someone pushed you?
Yeah. Well, maybe by him even. Who knows? It was a few years we trained. So,
So what happened? And so you're slowly crushing like their Adam's apple, and
you're cutting off the windpipe and everything too.
Yeah.
So you could have him standing up and he'll submit. It's like a drunk standing.
That was
up.
actually the second fight after that, because I had this kid in the first fight in that position, and I didn't finish it. Okay, and the coaches saw that I could utilize that choke. So the second fight was for Matrix Fight. It was their second promotion fight, and it was in the old ECW arena, the old New Alhambra.
Yep, 2300.
It's a 2300 arena now,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, my
Okay.
stomping ground.
I ended up fighting this kid that he had maybe 11 or 12 fights at the time. All right, and I was 0-1. All right, but they brought him up from Kansas. This kid shot in on me, and I grabbed him up in the choke, okay, and choked him out in about 13 seconds, popping his ribs at the same time with the anaconda
Yeah.
choke.
Suddenly he was not in Kansas anymore.
So here's the greatest thing is I own the title for the quickest fight won in the ECW arena.
Wow.
Awesome.
So I'm more badass than the ECW fighters. All right, where's the Sandman at? I'll put him to sleep. Let's
Down
do
in
this.
Delaware.
Afterwards, so is it a brotherhood? Do you go up and say good fight? I mean, there's
guess
no
it depends, right?
Or depends if there's animosity.
Yeah,
you
usually I
hurt the
do.
dude. You hurt the man. I mean, he's really in pain.
Then there's respect, and then there's not respect.
Yeah.
Usually there was maybe one or two guys that I didn't really like. You know, we still had respect at the end. My third fight was against this kid who was a Marine. All right, and me and him were supposed to fight a couple times beforehand, but the fight kept falling through. All right, and started pissing me off a little bit. All right, because I really wanted to fight this kid. I was supposed to fight him for an amateur title, and I lost that fight. So I had to just fight some random guy for nothing, for no title. All right, and then I finally got my hands on him. It was my first main event fight. All right, and we had this war of words going back and forth.
And it was real, it wasn't
We were
staged.
doing promotions.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were doing promotions online. I did this big thing in South Philadelphia in the Italian market. Okay, big promotion for it. We also went to a gun range somewhere around there too, and it's like kind of like an after credit scene.
Really,
Did you-
really selling the fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're really selling
And
the
being in
fight.
the
He
Army,
came-
he was a Marine. Did you question his masculinity and how good the Marines are? And,
We didn't go too far, but he started picking on me because I was Army National Guard and started coming at that a little bit. But you know, when I found out he was a reservist, you know, I had to tear into him a little, but we got into it at the weigh-ins a little bit, you know, jawing
Cool.
back and forth, and it was probably it's my favorite fight because of the energy in the arena at the time. We were in South Philadelphia at the Sheet Metal Workers Union Hall. All right, we had all his people there from Philadelphia. I had my people from Philly and Jersey there. All right, this place was rocking. You couldn't hear a pin drop in this place. All right, but you know, took my aggression out on him
and won.
and won. Okay, and then afterwards, you know, we spoke about it, you know, made up, and it was also a great experience because it was the first and only time I threw up in the cage.
Threw up.
All right, my uncle Lenny was there, right? He was holding the bucket. He sees me. I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. He runs into the cage with this bucket. My random uncle in the middle of the hallway runs into the cage holding it, and they got me with pictures, my thumb up, throwing up. It was great, man. So
What caused you to throw up though? Just exhaustion, fatigue, or he hit you with the stomach too hard?
nah, it was nerves.
No,
Probably.
there were some nerves and everything.
Well, not nerve. Well, you know what I mean, like the adrenaline
Yeah,
pumping
yeah,
in
right,
me. You know,
Right. And I guess from an evolutionary standpoint, you throw up because you want to be. I guess back in the day, you were being chased by animals in the savannah of Africa, so you have to lose weight. Why am I getting into that segue?
it might have been from the upkick to my
It
temple
could have been.
too. You know what I mean? I
It
don't
could have
know,
been the
but-
pepperoni pizza too. But yeah, we don't know.
With everything you've done, where would you like to go? What's that one dream you got?
What do you mean by that?
Like this, is there a particular person you want to fight? Is there a particular company you want a belt? Is there something like that
you know,
kinda-
you always wanted a belt. I obviously didn't get that opportunity because not enough fights won for that. But you know, I always wanted to shoot to the highest level and fight for belts, but never got that opportunity. I do hold one title though for XFE, Extreme Cage or Extreme something fighting. I can't remember the name.
But you did reach a level though. Maybe to you it doesn't mean much. That most people won't get to though. It's and also you put yourself out there, which leads.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question from the audience? This is from the Princeton, New Jersey, Nassau Street. These questions were submitted. When you lose, how do you deal with a loss, and how do you not let it get you down to prepare for the next fight?
It's a whole 10 or 15 minutes. I'm angry. All right. Some fights I understand, that I could have done better for this fight. Okay, and I go and train to do better for that fight. Okay,
You make adjustments.
Make adjustments. Yeah. Sometimes in that, because it's a totally mental game. Okay, sometimes you just don't understand why you're doing this and why you're destroying this person, this other man, and then you end up losing. Right. And that takes a toll sometimes on the psyche for anybody, even myself as a coach with other fighters. Okay, they ask me, why did this happen? Right. What can I do? Why can't I do this? But you have to do it yourself. You have to be able to fix your own mind to get back in there and step back in that cage again.
Right, and not take it like and not lose confidence, or should I?
I was always a confident.
You want to
person,
get and you want to get back in there. He knows, like you want to get right. Lose, you lose. You want to go right back in and fight and fight.
Exactly. I had a problem with always fighting because I was a junkie for it, Right. So I had this one stint where I did 8 fights in 1 year, which is completely out of control.
Yeah,
because I kept wanting to fight. I was like, I want to fight, which is the wrong way to do it. Which you should take time.
Yeah, did you have a manager someone who's like, come here, stop?
No, my coaches always did that, but they couldn't
listen.
They didn't want to stop me because I enjoyed it.
Gotcha. So. In our final 3 minutes, do you have any more questions before?
I like audience questions.
Okay, the second one is, how do Brylan, this is coming from a young woman I knew who liked MMA fighting. You're putting your blood and guts out there. How can you trust the people behind you? She knows about the Don Kings in the boxing world. I mean, can you get ripped off? Can you be exploited? I mean, how do you take care of business in the business?
It's a business, all in all, through and through. Everybody's out there to gain something from it. Mm-hmm. I never really seen 100% of that. I've seen it happen to other individuals, but not myself. Not myself, Mm-hmm. I was never really toyed with. It was always fighters falling out for me. And then having to find another fight for me if I wanted it or not. I always had the chance to say, if you want this fight, you can take this fight because this is what we have. If not, don't take it. Or if a fight fell through, we got this opponent. Or this opponent.
But there's no funny bookkeeping. You got your money too.
Yeah, I never had that problem though.
But you kept it.
But I do know a lot of fighters that have had that issue.
Yeah, I would imagine. And in our final 2 minutes, maybe we can go a little bit over. The other question was, when this is from a 12-year-old doing something again, being a gladiator, which a lot of people aren't today. How can you top that? When it ends, when maybe your fighting career ends, how do you recapture those feelings? Is there going to be a void in your life? Because you do something most people don't do. You compete. I mean, physically, and let it all out in front of people. Sometimes a worldwide audience.
Yeah, I've been on a hiatus right now. It's drives me nuts every day.
Right.
But you do have to find something to, figure something out. Like when I was
being a coach,
a coach,
you're still around,
right?
I like to read comic books.
Right.
I know I'm a jock and all, but do some nerdy stuff like reading comic books, play some video games, get away, go running,
everything. Well, we only have 20 more seconds. I mean, this has been a great interview. You're a natural, Brylan. You only scared me once when you. Maybe you could show your pre-fight when you get in the ring. You could turn it on like that. You're a great actor.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, that's it. Oh, shit. Those eyes are cold.
You're
stone.
shaking, man.
I know. I want to thank you again, Lauren. I thank you for bringing him and stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
And if they make any mistakes, you have my permission to hit them on the way out.
Oh, and is there a way? Do you have a website or anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
No,
nothing.
I'm good.
No.
You can check out the Dallas Mixed Martial Arts website. That's where I used to train, and where I've been on a hiatus, but there's all good people there if you want to check them out. And Beacon Mixed Martial Arts in Cherry Hill, run by Bob Peach. He's a good dude.
Well, thanks a lot, and it's been a great interview, and we'll be right back. With where's my notes? Our next guest, Jennifer Weiss, is a wife, mother, activist, but also on a quest. adopted at birth, she found that her biological mother was a high-class prostitute who was killed by the beast of 42nd Street, Richard Cottenham, who was a known serial killer around late 1970s, early 1980s, during that more seedy period.
Yeah, it was really decadent.
Yeah,
now.
decadent. I should have been there.
That part of New York.
Was there, and he was and stuff. Not only did she find her then biological grandfather, she made contact with Richard Cottenham, who's housed in Trenton State Prison, and formed a relationship. Now, spoiler alert, I thought she was going to do the first ever stand-up serial killer comedy, and doesn't seem to be happening.
It's
Jody?
not
I was
appropriate.
telling her she would have killed.
It's not appropriate. Look, I got it. I was at your house. My wife was there too. It was a rollicking, tumultuous, interesting conversation about serial killers, sex, helping people, making money, not caring about people. I mean, you went all over the place, and now you're.
I never said I didn't care about people, and we.
No, you did, and then you didn't. You said 1 minute. You said I just want to make money. 5 minutes later,
That's
my wife
not
can
true.
testify. You said I care about people, and people got hurt. And then you're like, this is about forgiveness and redemption for Richard. Say something to her.
Vivian,
You're
does
wittier-
he
you're
do
wittier
this
than
to
I
you?
am.
You just won't stop talking.
Okay.
I have a
Does he
chance.
do this to you,
He
Vivian?
does this. He does worse.
Twist things around.
He does worse.
I'm not twisting
Okay.
anything around.
But we
You're
learned
blocking.
a trick from Jody. We say yes and then we just say something else.
Oh, the improvisational
Yes.
comedy trick he
That's
throws at
right.
you? That's nice.
Always. Yes, and.
Okay, so yes and.
Yes, and I'd love to hear your story. I mean, this is.
Yes, and
quite
I'd love
fascinating.
Vivian to ask the questions because
Okay.
Adam makes me so
Thank
nervous.
you so much. I am so delighted that you said that. So, what I would love to hear from you first is how did you first find out the story about your biological mother?
I found out bits and pieces growing up. I was too young to know names and specific details. So when I was 4, it was pretty simple. You were adopted, and then as a girl grows up, she naturally may butt heads with her mother, and at some point during her teenage years, she might ask. I mean, I don't remember the specific times I asked, but I know I did mention it to her a few times during arguments, like, who's my mom? Tell me the real story. And she, in a fit of rage, said, your mother was a prostitute. And that was really her final word on it, because I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I needed to know the truth, and I was too young to know. So at 16, when she said that, it did shut me up, and I did put it away for a while. I put away the questions for a great while, for about 10 years, till I was 26. And then I went on a search, all the adoption agencies in New
Boys.
Jersey.
You invited a guest to your show and you're not even listening to her.
He's like the kid in school,
Okay.
Finally, the Children's Home Society of New Jersey in Trenton called me back, and I discovered many horrific things about her last weekend on the planet that stuck with me for a while.
Wow. So, are you comfortable sharing some of those?
I would.
She was
not
at our
mind-
house.
I would not mind sharing them with you guys, but since it's a community TV show, I might have to PG-13 this appearance.
Have you been watching the show? Hey,
No, I haven't
newsflash.
been. Newsflash, I don't watch TV since 2006.
Oh, she's so
You
special.
said your kids would be watching this, so you can.
I told my kids I was going to be on TV tonight.
I don't think they should be watching this.
They're not going to see this live, but they might see the clips in the future. And that's why I'm keeping things PG-13.
So, what's the PG-13 version?
Which is
The
like
PG-13
yesterday
version was,
That's true.
I discovered that my biological mother was beheaded December 2nd, 1979, by a man named Richard Cottingham. And she was with another woman who was also decapitated, and both women had their hands removed.
Wow.
And
And that's funny.
Adam
How
thinks
they-
it's
He made a
funny.
joke.
It's not a killer joke, though.
No.
Whoa. You made the first joke.
Do you wanna share?
What is
No,
the
it's
joke?
supposed
Is
to
it
be
funnier than
comedy.
any of my killer
No,
jokes?
no, it's your biological mother. We're not going to make jokes about that.
Cool, because Adam wanted me to do the stand-up routine, which isn't going to happen for a great while. I'm still trying to discover facts that are important.
Are you writing in the process of writing
I
jokes? and
do
stuff?
have jokes
This man is a professional actor. He can help
that
you.
are killer jokes that I can't wait to share with everyone. But
Killer jokes.
until I get some of the really important questions answered, I can't really joke around about it yet on community TV, but I want to.
Have you done it live in any
I
clubs
do it
or
live. I
anything?
did it live for Adam and his wife a little
Yeah.
bit.
But have you been in any clubs or anything
No,
yet?
no,
Are you concerned that some people would be really offended by that?
no.
I mean, I don't give a frig, but
I'm
you know.
not concerned. After seeing Dave Chappelle joke around about rape for a half
Right,
hour on
right,
this new,
okay.
which I love Dave
Touche.
Chappelle,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
Great.
laughed as well. But
He's
rape
a
isn't funny.
genius.
It's not going to be
No.
normalized.
Yeah.
I refuse to let it be funny.
Right.
I mean, it sounds to me like there's two kind of parallel processes going on, and then the third one over there. Right? So there is the story,
I haven't killed anybody.
the serious that we know of, the serious story
You're killing
of
this segment.
you understanding what happened, like how you came to be here and your mother's life and death, right? And you uncovering that. There's that. Then there's your ambition and material for your ambition. That's another story. And then there is like the other sort of unrelated story of, you know, is it okay to make fun of serious things? And then there's Adam who like has to whisper. Do you want people to hear you
okay.
being funny, or do you want to whisper?
Do your thing, and then you do your professional work, and then can we have a little time for him to do his professional work?
We have plenty
What
of
do you want me to
time,
do?
right? But like,
We have 13, 14 minutes. Okay. Yes,
I
ma'am.
think-
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think he has killer jokes that he's been really wanting to tell everyone.
I mean, I've
He was a
heard,
cut above all serial killers,
I-
Richard Cottenham. I know.
I've heard
Did
that
your mother
I'm
give?
pretty funny too. But the question is, are we going to whisper? Or are we going to talk?
Okay, I'll shut up. But Joe, I want Jody to give his input about doing stand up and how you're going to develop. You know, he's gone there.
It's just, we'll just go with the flow. We'll yes and this whole thing.
He said, "I'm killing this
Well,
segment."
I can't wait to talk to Jody about my routine that I, in the future, would love to create. But I'm so nervous about even talking about serial killers need hugs too, because it's so controversial and so unusual and weird and
yeah.
horrific.
That's
and-
why it has to be
Yeah,
done, though.
just-
And you're a pioneer, and you should. I think you should. You're brave, and I think fearless.
Thank you, Adam.
No, it's
I'm
true.
so
That's-
happy for those kind words.
I don't think she's being authentic. when
It's
she said
true.
that. But
No, I appreciate it.
That's very brave, especially given what your history. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, I didn't know what restorative justice was until I decided one day I was going to forgive Richard. Instead of carrying around the anger and the frustration, I was going to get rid of that. And it was something I was doing in my mind. I was, you know what? I'm going to forgive Richard. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out what happened and I'm going to forgive him. And it just became a bigger, it was like the snowball effect.
you said before you actually were afraid of Richard Cottenham. He was
For
in your
many
dream,
years.
Right. You thought he might just get out of jail, even if you knew it wouldn't happen.
Right. The scissor,
Is that-
scissor
does that happen a
knuckles.
lot
Did I
with
tell you about
people?
the scissor knuckles?
You told me about it, yeah.
Yeah, those were good times when I stayed up all night thinking that Richard was going to come and get me, even though I knew he was incarcerated
Intellectually,
for
it's
life.
pretty hard for him to get out. Right? You knew that.
Correct, but I knew there was other Richards because I found out at an early age that there's Richards out there. You know, there's Richards out there, and that was always
bunch of
going
dicks.
through my mind.
Richard's a
Bunch
dick.
of dicks
Yeah,
out there,
Yeah.
See how funny?
ready to behead chicks.
So what is that? Is that normal for people?
What makes a person do that?
Well, nobody really knows, but in order to be an actual serial killer, like to go all the way with it, you kind of need this trifecta of psychopathology, right? You need to have a paraphilia where you want to do it, where you fantasize about doing this terrible thing.
That's one for me.
Then you need to kind of have OCD because you need to want to repeat it and
It's
repeat it
two.
and repeat it. And then you need to be a psychopath.
It's
Adam.
questionable because sometimes you're seemingly normal.
Right? Because without having that
That's funny.
disregard for human life, complete disregard, and actually get pleasure from, you know, the sadism, the sadism and the paraphilia. Sadism is a paraphilia also. So you need to have that as part of your
And why do you
paraphilia.
enjoy to see people suffer while you laugh at them and all that kind of?
Right, you need to have all of that together as your paraphilia. Then you need to have this repetition compulsion, and then you have to have the disregard for human life. If you don't have all three of them, it's not going to happen, right? If you're a psychopath, but you don't get that charge from doing the paraphilia, if your charge is from making a lot of money, you'll go be a psychopath on Wall Street. You're not going to kill anybody.
Right.
That's where most of them end up.
Huh.
Oh, right.
Right?
But you need that focus, that paraphilia. Yeah,
But you need to have that,
and to
that
run
all
over
three
people.
of them.
And to run over
right? You
to-
each have all three
right.
of them, or else you're not going to be a serial killer. Now, in this training that I took with the FBI, we learned that they estimate that there's usually about 35 serial killers active in the United States at
As we
any,
speak.
or maybe in North America at any given time.
Believe it.
That's the magic number.
35
35.
at a
35?
time. Yeah.
The 36th guy's going, come on, somebody go.
Yeah. Somebody stop so I can step
let's
up
go,
and
let's
do
go
it.
here.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you take this, you know Richard, you have a T-shirt made up, get your own serial killer. This is really funny. I mean, one reason, it is different, and that's why Jody, who's had experience, he worked in Hollywood. And the
I
way
want you
there's
had that experience as a serial killer.
Oh, no.
no, but you're dealing in
Experience with
Hollywood.
I stumped on my
experience with
Cheerios.
psychopaths.
But psychopaths in a different way. You deal with in Hollywood is a land of lies and sociopathic behavior.
Oh,
so.
yeah, totally. I
So
mean,
you can
it's just
merge
don't know
the
who to
two and help
believe.
her with it. you know.
Well, I never really thought of it as serial killers, you know.
Well, they
But
kill you in different ways.
there's a different type of psychopath in Hollywood, definitely. It's I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know any of the terms, but all I know is you don't know who to trust. You don't know who's your friend, really.
So how can
Backstabbing.
How can she start her stand-up career? Though? What does one do?
I don't know many comedians. Are there any that ever talk about serial killers
not
in
that
their
I
bit
know
other
of.
than George
George Carlin did
Carlin
a
that we
thing
just
giving
talk
tips to
about-
serial killers,
Oh, okay.
which was really funny.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have an attention span of 5 minutes. A lot of people don't even know. I bet young people today don't even know who he is, George Carlin. Much less. So
Well,
it's
that's a
You can
sad
find
thing.
it on
Any
YouTube.
comic should know who George Carlin was. Anyway, it's just like with acting. Any students that I have in my acting classes, whatever, they should know a little bit of history of what they do. Anyway, like a good serial killer would probably know the history of serial killers.
Right.
So,
Richard
I
Cottenham
wanna
did. He
be-
wanted to be the best ever, too.
I wanted to be like
I
Jack the
heard
Ripper.
that. I heard that from the interview he did with Nadia Fazani, that he
Right,
wanted
right.
to be the best at whatever he did. So I told him to be the best ex-serial killer for me.
The best reformed.
So what can you do, though? You talk to him all the time. Can you get material? Then, what she should
Yeah,
do. How does she hone it?
What is this? A
I'm
lesson
not
now?
actually worried about my killer jokes. He's really intrigued by them, and I can't wait to share them with you personally because I didn't realize that that's what you really wanted me to come here
Oh,
to
yeah,
do.
he was talking
I
about
told
it
you
all
start-
day.
you
About the killer
sorry,
jokes?
sorry.
Wow, that's
Okay.
great.
Well,
I'm
I'm
glad
glad that I have
Depends, everybody has their
such a
style,
big
you know?
fan of my killer jokes. That's awesome. I hope you tell people about it
I
because
knew
it's
we'd more.
coming up.
This conversation's going all over the place. So bait and switch and everything. So what do you do? What do you do?
I'm not gonna. You use
You-
your own
look-
style. You start with come out with what's your opening line going to be. So my father's a serial killer. Anybody else out there? And whatever. You start introducing the whole
Well,
bit. And
it's
then
not funny, and those aren't the kind of jokes I tell because when you have that happening in your family,
But she was
fucking
stand up.
hilarious.
listen,
But I'll
It is
tell
hilarious.
you, I'll tell you something about this. In my opinion, I worked with sex offenders for 10 years, and the director of the place, his
Fucking nervous.
father was a sex offender, registered sex offender in another state, and all this guy ever did was fight the fact that people knew about it. I mean, he would admit it, but he had no humor about it. In my opinion, having a sense of humor about terrible things is one of the best ways to cope with it, and also to be honest and open about
That
it.
sounds like a
I,
jerk off.
I get.
Sounds like what?
Sounds like a jerk off.
I've caught a lot of heat for
It was. I
for
mean,
making
but that guy, that guy was horrible.
Yeah.
He was horrible. He is, as far as I know, to this day, is horrible.
He's still running the place.
He's still running the place. I mean, he's got to be. He's probably going to be retiring in a couple
No
of years.
one is more horrible than the toy box killer. Please look it up at your own risk.
But in terms of somebody who's out in the
Toy
community
box.
running
Bad news
a,
bears.
running a facility for sexually violent predators, who is the biological son of a sexually violent predator, and has no ability to say, hey, wait a minute, did I inherit any of this? Like, let me examine myself. Let me try to be kind to people. Let me try to figure out what impact this had on my life. And he's a psychologist.
Oh, Jesus.
No ability
You
whatsoever.
could use improv.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
You can
This
touch his
becomes a
feelings.
super toxic environment. Whereas if somebody in that position would say, hey, look at this, let's get a little humor about this, let's get a little levity into this situation, then suddenly you have somebody who has empathy, who has kindness, who has an ability
Humor is
to do something with it.
You could do so much with it. It's healing. It really is healing. Humor.
Well, I've been making him laugh, and it's been making him comfortable. And
You're making him laugh.
She goes to Trenton State Prison. He looks like Kris Kringle in a wheelchair.
Is he
That was
heavy? Like
funny.
he's fat?
He looks like Kris Kringle with his kind of like North
we're not
Jersey
going to make
accent.
fun of my serial killer on
No,
the show.
is he your father?
I don't know if he could be a DNA match to me because I don't
thought you were
know.
going to go. I have to take over this. We only have 5 minutes. So have you got the DNA match done yet?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is like,
I don't have any DNA test in the works yet. It's
do
something
you
I
know
hope
that
to.
so many people were excited about this interview? I told lots of people.
I'm so excited
And I
too.
told them about what kind of person you were. how
I'm
you lived
so
out-
thrilled about the killer jokes,
help
and
me?
I'm thrilled to find out answers to questions I've had lifelong.
Years, yeah.
But
yeah.
there's so many important people that have their eyes on this project and me and Richard that I have to kind of be a little bit tight-lipped until.
Aha! Oh, so it's money.
No,
It's financial.
I just can't be making killer jokes until I get the answers that I'm looking for. I can't just joke around right now when I'm still on a quest to figure out the details of Dita Gudarzi's murder, where her skull
That was
is.
her name. That's your mother's name. From
Yeah,
Iran or Kuwait? They said Kuwait,
Iran. I have questions that I'd really love to get answered, and hoping to share everything with everyone.
Well, you're killing me right now because I thought it was going to be shared out.
Listen, you're gonna have to invite me back.
Invite you back.
Yeah,
We have standards on the show, believe it or not.
Vivian, help me.
I think I'm going to leave her alone with you.
What?
You can get it out of her
Not on television.
on your improv, using your improv. Your prowess.
What is your goal? Like when? I mean, that's your goal. But how? When do you think you'd probably be ready to actually do an act?
I'd probably be ready to do an act this time next year.
Okay.
Do we have any pictures? I thought you were going to be wearing the
I
T-shirt.
actually brought this for you. It's just a little thank you note for letting me come on the show with my ideas, which I know are hard to digest.
you
No
ever-
one wants to hug a serial killer. I don't even want to hug anyone else other than Richard. I don't know much about serial killers.
That's kind of funny. You only want to hug the serial killer.
Just Richard.
Of
Not-
all
not-
the serial
not all
killers.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just my restorative justice project is called Serial Killers Need Hugs Too,
No,
because
this seems like a vanity
that's
project.
the approach I'm using.
Seems like
As
a damsel in
opposed,
distress.
as opposed to this show, which is an vanity project.
Isn't that nice?
Princeton Community TV. Sorry, Adam, that I messed up your show and didn't do stand-up, but I promise next time. I have
That's good improv.
I have to consider. Look at this vanity project.
You know, I wasn't going to do the show this month, but you told me all about this, and I was all excited.
Thank you.
OMG, guys. You guys.
I'm just kidding. We're having some fun with it, which
I
is
love
what
it.
it's
No,
all
I'm
about,
s-
right?
I'm so
I mean,
thrilled
you know,
about
if
this
you're doing
project.
comedy, I think it's ballsy. It's never been done before, as far as I know, and it's brave.
But the audience, this is like one long tease, though. If you want to be, if you want to do PR, you're doing a great job teasing.
I'm so sorry. I didn't come here to tease people. I
I-
would have
I
worn
want you to be
something
more
a
contrite.
lot.
Say, Adam.
more
how about
revealing.
if you could talk to Richard Cottenham, you can talk to me and say, Adam. Repeat after me, Adam.
Adam,
I'm so sorry
I'm so sorry
that I did not.
that I didn't
You know,
have
there's
any
so many
killer
interesting
jokes for
stories
you
right
guys.
here, and we're wasting time with this.
Okay,
nonsense.
okay. I'll shut up. We have one
No,
minute.
I love it. I look forward to coming back with my killer jokes.
That would be great.
I wanted to tell
Don't
people about
get ahead of yourself like your mom did.
This is. That was a good one, Adam. That was a good one. Richie's gonna love that.
We don't have to talk about Richard about me though. It's
That's
okay.
what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm gonna. Speaking of
She
you,
doesn't
why
start
are
talking.
you? Why are you almost naked in your Facebook profile picture? Why?
I am not naked in my
Well,
profile.
have you
It's just
seen
a-
it? It's
It
very.
was taken at the pool.
Oh,
Is that a
Vivian
poll? Yeah, yeah.
knows.
Yes.
How
I
do-
know everything there is to know about Adam.
Wow.
He only thinks he knows everything there is to know about me, and he is a big rumor monger. So be careful.
Only because I can bait you, especially when we do improv. That's another story.
Do you want me
That's
to
a
tell you
whole
about
different
songs
story.
for my serial killer part 1?
We have one more minute, but go ahead.
It's just a bunch of songs that I like to sing on my way to the prison.
Oh, that would be
I
fun to
take
hear.
out one word and I replace it with serial killer. Like be my baby, but I'll say serial killer instead. It's very challenging.
my
Good. What else?
I'm not
What
going to
else?
sing it. I'm just
serial
letting you
killer.
know that
My
that's.
one and only
Hey,
serial
Yeah.
serial killer.
There. He's a maniac, maniac.
No, that's a different song.
Richard Cunningham.
He's a serial
Adam is
killer.
so all over the place.
Okay, I don't know what
We do that with
achieved here.
religious hymns too. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
Now thank we all our serial killer.
How about this? We should get together. I think if we want, we could come to her house. We get together. We could all think up something if you'd want to. I know you're busy
so
trying to make a
eager. Look
living.
at him. He's
while
like
you're waiting.
inviting
Oh, I would
himself
love
to my
to.
home.
You know
I love
that
it.
at our next acting class, I'm sure that serial killers will be on the menu.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. And if not, heads are going to roll.
And with that note,
And no one's giving head any. I'm sorry. I don't know what I said. Okay.
He stole that.
I
by
don't
the
know.
way.
I stole that from him. Okay, I don't know what we accomplished here, but maybe we're gonna have part 2 coming up
Next
And
year.
Stay tuned for the next act. Back again. This is our final segment of Breezin with Bierman. We have Jody Wood, improv actor, coach. He has an interesting project he might be embarking on. It's autism for improv for higher level. I'm autistic right now myself. Higher level autistic kids. It's
practice.
quite interesting. And I think we might do some improv too. So what are you looking at doing? What's the synopsis?
Well, I never thought of it. I never ever dawned on me. I've got a student, and his dad approached me because the student has an older brother who is autistic. His dad approached me and said, "Have you ever thought about doing an improv workshop for autistic students?" And I thought, no, I never did. And as a matter of fact, I don't really know that much about autism. I thought it was something like almost like Down
Rain Man
syndrome or
or
something.
Rain Man.
Yeah,
from
well, that guy
Snoopy.
like Rain Man. Now I'm learning more about the spectrum and all these kinds of things. There's somebody on the spectrum that, like him, you can't possibly reach.
Right.
It just wouldn't work.
So we get it.
I'm learning.
He's just a vain actor from L.A. You're not really concerned with those things.
What?
You're just a vain actor from L.A. You're not concerned about these things.
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm not a vain actor from LA.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm a regular guy from New York who
Okay.
happens to be an actor.
Okay, I also have to be serious in this because you can
Nice.
use this as a promotional. Shut up. Go on.
No, it's okay. It's fun.
we only
Improv is
have 13
fun.
minutes.
We already said to
You know, so anyway, I thought, well, let me look into that, and I started learning a little bit more about autism and how I could approach this. What is this?
It's a fun, safe, authentic environment for high-achieving kids with Asperger's to improve their language and confidence.
Anyway, now where was I? Yes, turns out my sister-in-law has been working with children of special needs for 35 years, with Asperger's, autism, all kinds of different things. And I'm also learning that it's all kind of on that spectrum, is the OCD and all. Am I boring you that
No, I'm
much?
just tired. I'm sorry.
She's yawning.
I know. I do
This
so much
is very
for her.
interesting. So some kids wouldn't
obviously
be able to. Some kids wouldn't be able to participate because of their level of
Yeah, because that's what I
autism, but-
learned from some.
But for the ones that could
autism experts,
participate,
yeah.
it's probably really beneficial.
It's really,
And
and
I
I've
went
seen
with
it
him.
so far.
I went to
Adam
his
went with me
sister-in-law
the
in South
second
Jersey.
time, and he filmed it. The feedback was incredible. The kids didn't want to leave. Apparently,
Evidence shows that the
psychologist
kids
was
are
there.
using it in social situations.
and they're getting to choose different responses that they wouldn't normally choose.
And they're just
Or find out
doing
about
them.
it.
They
Right.
know that it's in them now.
Right. And they feel confident
They
now.
feel
And parents are
confident.
saying that they're articulating much better.
There was one young kid that just said, I just don't want to participate. I said, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. You go here. He had a book, like a Harry Potter type book, and he sat behind everybody and kind of looking, and finally, and I go over to see him once in a while. I say, hey, how you doing, man? You know, a little fist bump and all that kind of stuff. How's that book? And finally, you could see he was watching. Then he finally, the last 20 minutes of the workshop, he sat with us and participated.
Like he couldn't
So
let
that
it
was-
go. He had to come.
He had
We
to do
ignored
it.
him. Like, you commented, but people were having too much fun.
He wanted
that
to
was the one
absorb
you're
it
right.
first.
Yeah, and he did it though. And his teacher, and the assistant that was in there, psychologist, was saying, just amazing. I've never seen that behavior from him before. And some of the kids who were a little more severely autistic, at least on that level, were participating. They did the novel game. They were actually listening and participating.
And the
It's
teacher
all
was a little
about
shocked.
listening. It's
The teacher
about
was a little shocked.
they were incredibly
Yeah.
shocked and just
Were they
happy.
I wonder. They were happy. The teachers.
They were
They were
extremely
shocked though
happy.
too that these kids were so open. I mean, and you were
So
saying,
how do you get to
Well, that's-
integrate this into
he can show you. He can
Well,
autistic schools all over?
That's what I'm working on. Who I should, I'm putting the program together first, so I have something to bring, and I have it pretty much ready. And now it's a matter of finding out who I need to speak to at the various schools and organizations. I've got a real big proponent for a guy that lives out in Colorado now, but he was the former president of Autism Speaks and the Eden School here in Princeton, and he saw what I was doing, and he asked me to send him some clips of the clips that you took, and he said, this is really great stuff.
It's exciting, and also no one else is really doing it. Maybe a
Not
school
really. There were
in
some
Indiana.
studies done. Indiana State University did a study on it and all that, and I thought, well, I tell you, I floated through the car. Well, those 2 times that I did the one thing down there. Now I just can't wait to get at it.
Vivian, what's
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about using this yes and improv technique as a method of communicating.
Yes, definitely.
Just in a personal crisis type of situation. I said, because I was listening to her communications and everything was yes, but, and I said, how about if you try this? And she is a pediatrician, this woman. But it wasn't working with her patients. It was just talking in a personal
Yes,
relationship.
but it's very
that she
easy
has.
to say. It's a
And I
cop-out.
said, how about if you consider this? This is something I learned in my acting class with you. And she said, this is actually something that we use to de-escalate kids when they are acting out in the hospital. So she knows this technique.
But she doesn't use it
is
in her life.
a known technique, but she doesn't use it in her life. And apparently the autism people have not integrated it into their autism programs.
Well, that's hopefully going to change.
But isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
I
it really
never,
is.
when I trained in pediatrics, this was not something that we were taught. And I never learned it in psychiatry either. I learned it from you. But somebody else brought it to them.
And Jody even said,
Well, it's been around. I mean, I didn't, I learned it
No,
when
but
I was
I'm just saying
studying.
where I learned it. Like I haven't, she learned it in pediatrics, but I did, an internship in pediatrics and then I trained as a psychiatrist. I never learned it anywhere else.
You can even use it when you argue with your wife. Like Jody said,
I'm telling you,
argue
it
with
works.
your wife. You
It
bicker
can
with your wife.
even
and-
Marriage counselors can use this.
Right.
They should be
It's
using it.
It's a productive way to argue.
Do you want to show it a little
Yeah.
improv though? We have about 7 minutes. Do you want to show
Yeah.
and
I
let
would-
her see and how you work with autistic kids? And I won't play an autistic. I'm not trying to be funny.
How would I run the workshop?
Yeah. We start
Yeah.
with yes and or whatever.
If
Well, we
we were,
seem to
if
do
we were
yes
a
and
bunch
every
of high
time.
functioning
Okay.
autistic
Yeah.
kids.
We should explain what yes and is.
I will do
we
that.
can
I
show
think we
it.
do that every week.
Yeah.
Yes and is basically yes, I'm listening and I'm going to build on your idea. It's a recognition of an idea. Even if it's not the greatest idea in the world, it's saying, okay, I acknowledge that idea and we're going to build on it.
And I might say that
And you're
yes
not throwing
and
it away. Yes, but is the easiest thing to say. People say no because they can, or they have that power. And it just shuts people down. And I work with companies and all different types of organizations at all different kinds of levels. Improvisation is just amazing what it can do from in every level of life. And when they start with this whole yes and mindset,
I think
the exercise, you say yes and, yes and, yes and. But in the work, like it's in improvisation, where I learned it in improvisational theater, yes and means I'm going to go with whatever you're giving me, and I'm going to, build on. So we have a scene.
Right.
It's all about the scene. It's not about me in the scene.
being
It's
in
not
the
about you in the
moment.
scene. And living fully in each moment.
what would you want to try right now?
Moment to
then? If
moment.
You're tired of yes and the audience might be tired of yes and. But yes and we don't know who's always watching every week. They might not be tired, but yes and what do you want to do?
Well, we could do an exercise. How
Okay.
yes and works.
Okay, I want to do that.
Here's how it works. Let's do it.
I don't start with yes and when I start. The show with Jennifer was quite different.
Yes, and we're expecting something else, but that's why you got to be ready to, hit a curveball.
And then you say yes.
yes, and
And-
that's why I'm looking forward to coming back.
Yes, and I'm really looking forward to being there next time too.
Yes, and I might not be there if she doesn't deliver the goods without a negative thing. I'm sorry.
Yes, and the ratings will go off the roof.
Yes, and I think I might use the yes and game for my next contact visit.
Yes, and maybe if Adam isn't here next time, I'm going to be the host of the show.
Yes, and we have there's something smells rotten in Denmark. Huh? No.
Yes, and that's a line from Hamlet.
Yes, and Hamlet is something that you know nothing about, right?
Try to avoid asking questions.
Yeah.
Yes, and I read Hamlet in high school, so I guess I do know something about it.
Yes, and my high school reunion's coming up, and I don't plan to go.
Yes, and I think you should go because you could show them how handsome and successful you are.
Yes, and that would mean lots for the great cause that we're trying to discuss about autism and integrating it into kids' lives that have autism.
Yes, and at the high school reunion, you'll be able to identify which of those kids actually had autism.
Yeah, probably didn't even know it.
So that's basically the yes and exercise. When you're building on each other's ideas, what we would really want to get to is, with the yes and exercise, is to build on one idea and make it go somewhere instead of changing the subject a lot.
And in
know
final
what I
3
mean?
minutes, what else did you do with those autistic kids?
Well, I did a game called, we did one word story. We did, which is one word at a time, where we create a story together.
That was a lot of fun. They were
That was
giggling.
great.
They were
It
giggling.
was great. We did a game called Three-Headed Expert, which graduates you from one word story. It's three people that sit there, people with three heads, but they're one person, and they answer, they're an expert on something like, basket weaving, whatever. And you ask them questions, and they answer it one word at a time. So they got to work together. And it's not about trying to be funny. It's not about any of that stuff. What's happening is that they're listening, they're working together, and they got this. It's almost like a well-oiled machine after a while, and these kids really start talking. And the idea is to get them in more confident in social situations. And I learned that as brilliant as a lot of these folks are, their social skills are not good at all, and there's a very high unemployment or underemployment rate with autistic people.
And depression.
And depression, and because they can't. And I thought, well, maybe this can make a difference. They're having fun, and they're also breaking out of a shell, and they're communicating, they're talking to one another, learning techniques so they can carry on a conversation.
And like you said,
It's
talk
not-
about, when you say cliche things like in the moment, even though it's not a cliche, that saying hit home because they really forgot what they were doing. They forgot totally. They just were into what they were
They were
doing.
so into it.
You know what else I wasn't there, but I know that from taking these classes with you, it's very empowering that we get to participate and create and do things. Because in the traditional classroom situation, especially with these kids that are disabled, they're marked disabled. It's like they have a
Absolutely.
stamp on their forehead.
Yep.
And then you have these teachers, which in many cases really see themselves as putting something on these kids to make them better. They're kind of like the do-gooders. And they're very, very controlling. And whenever somebody tells us what to do, the last thing we want to do is what they tell us to do.
Of course.
Whatever the situation is, Like as women,
That's why she
especially.
didn't do her stand-up.
Yeah.
I mean, but as soon as somebody says to me, calm down, you're overreacting.
Yeah, that means
The
nothing.
last thing I want to do is calm down
That
and
means
stop
nothing.
overreacting.
It's a
Absolutely.
meaningless
Right,
comment.
so when
yeah.
you have these kids who have a disability and they keep telling them, well, you have a disability, you need to do it this way, you need to come out of your shell, you need to blah, blah, blah.
Ugh.
The last thing they want to do is that. But when you give them a game,
A strategy
and it's
to
Again.
fun.
and it's a
there's
strategy
so
that
many
works
of
too.
them.
But also a strategy, it actually works.
Yeah.
But
right,
it's
but
their
you're
free
not
thought that they get
giving
to
them a
use.
strategy.
That's right.
You're
They
just
discover things
inviting
about
them to
themselves.
play
Right,
a
right.
game that's fun.
Right. Because I've heard that crap before. We only have 30
Yeah.
seconds.
You're going to have a busy year.
Wrap
I
it up.
hope so.
Few
I'm looking
years,
forward to
hopefully.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
and then we
looking
can
forward
franchise it and make millions of dollars. I'm sorry. No, it's
to it. No, listen,
Why
I mean,
not?
I
Everybody
would do it
else,
for free if I
about
could. I
money.
swear
everybody
to
else
God, I would.
franchises everything and makes millions of dollars.
I
So why
would
not?
do it for nothing. If
Well,
I
this
could.
is
May
our-
as well do it for a good cause.
Well, I want to thank
feels great.
Vivian, Jennifer Weiss, maybe come back and do some real stand-up. Jody Wood, check out also more about what he wants to do with autism and improv. And this has been the last segment of another exciting, tumultuous, and should I say sometimes confusing, Breezing with Bierman comeback.
Welcome back to What's Trending with Raya, only here on Breezing with Bierman. And yes, I am back to bring you new cool stuff, especially for the summer season. So let's get started. Guys, if you are looking for a perfect casual pair of shorts, I got you covered for this summer. BBO shorts are highly quality board shorts that feature a hidden bottle opener. So it has a hidden bottle opener in the pocket. They were invented by a surfer that, he was with his buddies in the beach and they have beverages, but there's no can opener or bottle opener. So what happened is they got bloody thumb and chipped tooth because of that. So what they did is to have and discover this BBO shorts. So they come in a bunch of different colors, including solid gray. So no matter what is your style, you'll find a pair that you will love. I discovered Supergoop's SPF 50 Mousse Sunscreen by accident, but now they're definitely my favorite brand. It goes on light and smooth, and it's not greasy at all when you rub it in. So you can grab a smaller 3.4 ounce bottle that you can carry around. That's what I use. And then they have also a larger 7.1 ounce bottle that you can carry on your big vacations or summer getaways. So, you know, you have to wear your SPF every day, so make it easy for yourself. My favorite part is they are cruelty free. They don't test on animals. So make sure you check out Supergoop's SPF 50 Mousse Sunscreen. So are you ready to be wet and humid this summer? You will be, thanks to my pal Alexa. She introduced me to this incredible handheld Instant. It is a fan. It has a 3 speeds, 2 misting modes, and a 20 milliliter, water tank to keep you cool all the time. It comes in a blue or pink color and is very available in Amazon Prime, so you can get yours at any time for your summer getaway plans. This is one of my favorite items for this month. Remember when you were a kid and you turn your couch, your table, or your chairs into fort, and then you put a bunch of pillows and blankets? It was the coziest place on earth, right? Now you can have that again. Privacy Pop is a tent where the base fits under the mattress and the tent fits on top of your bed. It's a great solution for people, if you need privacy or darkness or a solution for your sleep, you can grab this privacy tent. They even make a desk version so you can nap at work if you're allowed to, if you can get away with it. Plus, if you sign up for the emailing list, you can get a 20% discount on your first purchase. So we talked about that SPF lotion, a sunscreen earlier, right? And you know by now that you're supposed to wear your SPF every day. Even if you're loving having that tan, I'm having that right now, your skin still needs protection. So, but most of us, especially women, you don't worry about your face because most of the makeup, they already have those SPFs. But how about your body? So that's why I'm so excited that I discovered Mott 50. So it's a line of clothing, athletic wear, and swimwear that they have a UPF rating of 50. What does UPF mean? This means that only 1/50th UVA or UVB can reach your skin through this clothing. So they're stylish. They have an entire chambray line, and I'm completely in love with the Chloe bodysuits. Right now, use the code TRENDING at checkout for you to receive 20% discount off. So that's been our 5 featured items for the summer edition of our What's Trending with Raya. I'll see you next month. Baba Booey to all.